Welcome back to the Ag Bowl Podcast. Today's episode was filmed in beautiful downtown Mayville, North Dakota. This episode will be available on our YouTube channel and also where podcasts can be heard. Today's guest is Janet Holt from Soholt Bakery. Janet, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I just met you the other day.
We did.
I popped in your bakery with Tourette's and I said, hey, you want to come on the podcast? And you sat down and you're like, sure. And so here
Absolutely.
You are.
Here I am.
So Soholt Bakery, Mayville, North Dakota. Before we get into that, which is by far my favorite bakery in the whole world.
Oh, you're sweet.
And my wife's in town and we went over today and split what did we have? Apple.
I think you had apple turnovers.
Then we had a chocolate chip.
Chocolate croissant.
Right. So there's a lot less calories if you just eat them in halves and thirds.
Absolutely.
Right. And then
when you dine in.
Right. When you dine in. So tell me about yourself. I know your brother, and that's all I know. And then, shame on you two, Gina almost interviewed you out there. I had to stop you girls.
We're friends.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy you're here, and I think people want to hear your story. But before we tell your story, tell me what you know about the Soholt Bakery and its history.
So the Soholt Bakery has been around for 104 years. Ed Soholt came from Soholt, Norway. It's a region in Norway, and he came here. This is what I know. He came here through Minneapolis, stopped there for a couple of years, and worked in a bakery. And he learned the trade. He did not come to the United States knowing how to bake, but he learned how to bake in Minneapolis. And then he came up here. I think he had family here, so
in beautiful downtown. Downtown Mayville, North
downtown,
Dakota.
but somewhere.
Oh, we got big downtown. And you know what? Because of you, we still have businesses downtown. You're a big part of that.
I hope to build. I hope that we can draw more people to downtown Mayville. Beautiful downtown Mayville.
Throwing the adjectives, the verbs, get it all in there. Awesome. And so he was the Soholts. I know the kids. And then like Donut, would this be Donut's dad or granddad?
So that would be his grandfather. So
Donut's
Ed,
grandfather,
otherwise known as Rick to me, because I cannot do the donut.
I didn't know what his first name was.
It's Rick, Tom and Rick. So Ed started the bakery, he and his wife, and then he had four sons, but two of them ended up taking over the bakery.
Okay.
And then Red, Jerome, was Rick and Tom's father.
Okay.
And so they took the bakery didn't take them from him, but they worked in the bakery and then eventually took over.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then when did it transition?
So, last July, I came home for a couple weeks, and I had been throwing this.
So you didn't live here?
I didn't live here. No, I grew up here. I'm from Mayville. I born here. My parents were teachers. We moved to Minnesota, came back. My dad started farming the family farm. And after I graduated from high school, I wanted to seek and go and find. And so my husband and I went to California, and we raised our boys in California. And then I was in Arizona for the last 10 years.
You have 3 kids?
I do. I have 3 children.
And you are boys. A nurse by trade?
I am a nurse.
This is where the story gets good.
This is where it gets
we go from treating people to treating...
Well, I was telling Gina that, I've always had that desire to make people smile, make people happy. And when I was in high school, I worked as a CNA, and I loved that.
What's CNA mean?
Certified Nurse Assistant. And so by fostering that, patient exchange, I was drawn to nursing.
Because you're seeing people at their worst, right?
Yeah.
No one goes in the hospital because they're having a good day.
Nope. And you get to you get to see them in their most vulnerable place. And
sure.
I loved being able to help them through that. So I did a lot of different things in my nursing career. I was a NICU nurse, and then I ended up doing home home care, and I was a supervisor for a palliative care division, the most recent job. So.
And then were you retired when you came back, or you were still a nurse?
No, very much working, very much.
Okay.
So so what
Retired
I
because you're
decided.
so young and successful, and being a nurse is so, it is a big time paying job. Our daughters, and I'm sure Gina and you already went over all this. Yeah, she's a nurse and she's this. And, all right, do we have anything left to talk about?
I had a good career. I had
Yeah.
a really good career. I loved my nursing career. I loved being a nurse. But there were other things that I wanted to do in my life. And, I had a friend that visited me in January of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like during COVID or...
Yep, kind of. Yep. And she's also a nurse, and she was writing a novel, and this was something that she had always wanted to do. And she was closer to retirement age than I was. And so I said, gosh, that's so brave. And she said,
to write a novel. Like
to write a novel. Yeah. And there's things that I want to do. And she said, this is your last best third, because I am turning 60 next week.
Or as our friend the Hummer says, our runway's getting a little shorter. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. So
Happy
my
birthday
runway.
to you.
Yes, I'm getting to the end.
Let's
of my
not
runway.
get carried away. People live long into their hundreds.
But I want to do more. So
Okay.
this was an opportunity that came along. I told my boys about 12 years ago. Rick and Tom and Rick, they were looking at selling the bakery. They've been interested in retiring for a while. And I said to the boys, I think you should buy the bakery. I think you should move to North Dakota and have the bakery and call it Soholt. And
because your last name is Holt.
Exactly.
And it is currently Soholt.
Correct. And just an interesting fact,
We have time.
Okay. My husband was a first cousin to Rick and Tom Soholt. So my kids are actually related directly to the boys.
That's interesting. I heard
We call them the boys.
your husband passed, right?
He did.
Yeah. That's hard. Obviously, Gina's still alive over there because she's playing on her phone texting. Yeah, that's hard. And then you probably find out you have a lot more time on your hands, right?
I have time on my hands, but just things that I want to do. And this was
The
something,
bucket list, like the movie?
I had
right?
a bucket list, and I wanted to get going on my bucket list. I'd always wanted to. I was telling Gina. I shared with Gina that I wanted to do.
She doesn't really exist. There's really no one over there.
She's not really behind the curtain over there. I wanted to do a catering business.
Okay.
About 25 years ago, and
I already told you my family owns a pizza business.
yes,
All right.
did.
We did all this, right?
Yeah,
we're there.
We covered that. But it wasn't a good time for our family, and so I just kind of put it in the back burner. And I've always, bed and breakfast, owning a, catering, owning a little coffee shop. Something has always been in the back of my mind, and this just came full force. I was here.
And the kids didn't. You said, hey, let's do this. And they're like, yeah, that's a great idea, Mom. Well, good luck with that.
They actually did. All of my boys are like, yeah, do it. So,
But you wanted them to do it.
Well, I originally, 12 years ago, I had said, oh, you should look at buying the bakery, because I was well into my nursing career, and I was making a move to Arizona at that time. And,
it's a little cold here. You know that, right?
yeah.
Not today, though.
Yeah, it's beautiful today.
Mm-hmm.
It's gorgeous. I am not a fan of the cold weather. Never will.
I'm not a fan of my wife's phone ringing while we're recording. But that's okay. Real quick, while we're recording, when you tap the table, we hear that.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead and tap it. I hear that.
Oh.
See what happens? All right, we got out all the sound effects, and I love it. Well, the good news is this isn't live or anything else. We'll have fun. So the boys, you're telling them buy the bakery, and then in the end, how does this transition? How did you buy the bakery?
So, my middle son was living close close by. He had his own home, and I was just chatting with him, and I said, I can't do this alone, but I would very much like you to come with me. And he thought that would be a good opportunity for him.
This was your oldest son?
This is my middle son.
Middle son.
Yeah.
Middle son.
My oldest son is
Let's go over to kids.
Yeah. My oldest son lives in San Diego with his beautiful wife, Jo, and their adorable baby girl, Georgie May.
Mm-hmm.
She's my one and only granddaughter. And he is a financial advisor, and she has got a career in phone. She puts up cell towers.
Yep. That's big business. Yeah.
Huge.
Telecommunication, 5G.
Yeah. So they're kind of planted, rooted in sorry.
That's okay.
Rooted in San Diego. And
It's
then
a beautiful place.
Yeah. He helped me with a lot of the business part of it, getting it established. And then my youngest son is in Payson, California, and he is pursuing a similar career path as the oldest. And
do they like California?
they love California. They were born there.
Oh, well,
They're
that's
California
home.
boys.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yep.
And the whole $7-8 gas thing and the everything else. That's just what we see here on TV. Yeah, no, I know. It's just a headline on TV, right?
Oh man, yeah.
It is expensive to live out there, though.
That's
extremely.
why I left. Yeah, way too expensive.
You think it's like a half off sale to live here, at least?
I don't know. I think there's some give and takes. Food is very expensive here compared to there. I do
because
not
you have
find
all the fresh. You have your quality of food there.
Exactly.
Is amazing.
It's different. It's different. But also, I think like real estate taxes. I think they were probably more affordable in Arizona, honestly. But there's always give and takes, and being here, just coming back home was good for me.
That's awesome.
Good time.
Speaking of Arizona and farming and agriculture,
Yeah.
your brother, you're laughing,
Ozzy,
and he farms in Arizona and in Mayville.
He does.
What's he grow in Arizona? You ever been to that farm?
I'm not sure.
I think cotton and some other stuff.
So
Yeah.
he actually did cotton the first year.
Okay.
Or I don't think he's done cotton for a bit. So as you know, it's a lot of irrigation, and water has to be purchased there. And that's an interesting piece of farming that is different from farming up here. So he doesn't, cotton takes a lot of water to grow. So
Yeah.
I hear. And so
But there is
doing beets down there.
really, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'd like to visit him and then write off that trip as a business trip. So
You should visit him.
yeah, there's a lot of folks we know. A lot of people go from North Dakota to Arizona. We had some folks who were going from North Dakota to Florida, like the Fort Myers, Naples area, but that's probably delayed this year a little bit. But I would say 3/4 of the people here, it's much easier to go to Grand Forks or Fargo and jump on a plane. You could be in Arizona in 3 hours?
Less. Yeah.
Nonstop. Just you could have breakfast here. You could be having lunch there. It's that simple.
For sure.
Right. It's a nice go-to. And that's why when people are, how do they do it out there? There's an incredible amount of people that commute. Incredible. You go to Fargo Airport, you're going to see 5 people,
Oh, yeah.
You would see 10 or 20, right?
Yep.
So how did you move? Like, did you buy the business then move? Did you move back and then decide to buy the business, or was it all one transition?
I gave my notice. I packed up my house. We jumped in a car. We came
This is
here.
a good story, right? I like it.
We didn't actually purchase the business until January 1st.
Okay.
That's when we closed. That's when all the paperwork was done. But Tanner and I had an opportunity to work with Tom and Rick and the whole crew during the holiday season. So we started right before Thanksgiving, and we were done the week before Christmas.
Because you weren't trained as a baker?
No, a home baker.
But you can learn
completely
it.
Different.
Right.
I did learn it. I'm still learning. And
Sure.
we had great teachers. They were wonderful mentors. And
They had 104 years of practice. They better have been good at it at some point, for God's sake.
They were just, they knew, and they were very upfront. They knew what they knew. And they shared all of their knowledge and information and all their equipment. And then because of the family-owned business, we we needed to do some upgrading to be to code to the
Let's
current
talk
codes.
about that. Yeah, because
No, it
a
was-
lot of people watching this show will, obviously we're going to promote this in our friends and family
Yeah.
in Mayville will be excited. So anyone who was, like I used to sneak in there, Shannon.
through the back door.
Yeah, Shannon Bergstrom. He's going to be so happy to hear his name. He likes hearing his name. Shannon's like, well, enough about me. Let me talk about me a little bit. Shannon be like, let's go sneak in and see my uncles at like 5 in the
Yes.
morning. I'm like, and they're there? He's like, well, of course, they're baking. And
Yeah.
they were happy to have a visitor. So we'd stop by, and it was just too much fun.
They were happy to have visitors that didn't come at 2 a.m. after the local establishments closed. They didn't really appreciate those.
There's a time. Well, no, I'm in bed by 8 or 9. So
But yes, they had lots of visitors.
How
come
old
through.
was that oven? That original oven?
Well, we were trying to get a date on it. It wasn't the original.
Okay.
But it was darn close.
Like 80 years old?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think we kind of came around 74, 75, about the same age as Tom.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so that was not the piece that had to be brought to code. The
The oven could have
was
stayed?
fine.
That was an oil oven, to be specific.
It was an oil burning oven.
This is wild. People are going to be like, what the hell are
So
they talking
there was
about?
there still is a big, huge tank
Like
in
how
the basement.
How people heat their homes out in the East Coast.
Yeah,
The oil,
yeah.
like you go out the East Coast,
Yeah.
like, oh, we got oil delivered.
Which created a lot of soot in
Mm-hmm.
the bakery, which was just non-stop trying to stay on top of that. That was hard for them. But what was really necessary was a 3-compartment sink. So current code requires you to have...
I've washed some dishes in my life. You want me to tell you what it is?
Yes.
Okay, you go hot water,
Yeah.
rinse water, and a little bit of water with like a tiny bit of bleach, right?
Correct.
I can't make this up. I washed dishes as a kid at our restaurant.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You have to have the 3 compartments. Yeah.
So when we took
So
over the
proud of
bakery-
myself.
Good
My
job.
dad's going to
Good
be
job.
proud of myself. Gina's proud of us. She's like, look at him.
But do you know why?
Uh-oh. When you
what's the
point that
size?
finger at me, you have 3 pointed back at you. Go ahead.
What's the size? What's the size requirement?
Oh, you mean like to get a whole pan in there and not be like washing half the pan and flipping it around? I'm going to go like 3 feet by 3 feet, I would say.
So it's based on
3
your
by 3
largest,
by 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. Your
the,
largest
the
pan.
largest piece of equipment.
So like these sound pads, if that's your
If that
equipment.
has to go into the dishwasher or the
This is
sink to
code.
be washed. That is part of the code. It
I'm
has
being educated today.
well,
I knew I'd have my hands full with you. Someone said it'd be the best episode ever. What do you think there? Eye in the sky. How we doing? He's laughing.
he's like,
He got the thumbs up from the big guy out there working extra hard on a Friday. So you had to.
So we had
It's
to get
all
the
stainless
sink,
steel.
Stainless steel, and the sink had to be big enough for our largest piece of equipment,
Which
which
is?
is a bowl that goes on the mixer. It's a mixer bowl.
The Hobart mixer.
Hobart.
You know why I know that?
Because of your restaurant.
And our restaurant, my mom and dad's restaurant, was in Hobart, Indiana.
Oh, that's cool.
And when I was a kid, I thought our mixer was like named after the town. So when I was 7 or 8 at the restaurant, I thought like Hobart mixers were from Hobart or something. And yeah, my mom and dad's restaurant was from Hobart, Indiana. Roma's Pizza, big shout out to them, right?
Yum.
So Hobart mixers are the real deal.
The real deal, and this thing will last forever. I mean, they've had pieces re-welded, but the motor itself, it's going to go forever.
I did get you though when we were at the bakery the other day, and I asked you what phase the mixer was, and you go, I don't know. I go,
Oh.
is this mixer 3-phase? And you go, I don't know. Did you ask anyone?
It has 3 speeds.
Okay.
Is
But
that what you're
No,
asking?
it was the type of electric. Like I think there's 2-phase
Oh,
and
yeah,
3-phase.
no,
We'll ask someone. We're going to get down to the bottom of this.
I've been baking buns and bread. No time for phase.
No, it just had to do with the motor. So if you have a 3, I asked my father, why'd you spend so much
Okay.
to get the 3-phase? And he said it'll help the motor would last forever versus it burning out in 25 years. It was just something that was suggested too. We'll find out. These mixers are very expensive. If
Yes,
you
they
bought
are.
a new Hobart mixer like this, so the bowl is what had to be washed.
We just got a new hook, a dough
Oh.
hook for the smaller bowl, and that was $300.
For a smaller
hook.
Right.
Just a dough hook. And then I know that used about $4,500 for a used one.
Right. And these things are the real deal.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
So to have a bakery, let's go over the equipment you have there. You have the mixer.
Well, let's go back to the
back to
oven.
the sink. You got to get me.
Okay,
Thank
got the
you.
sink. We got the
Straighten me
sink.
out.
Okay, we got the
Straighten
sink,
me out.
right? We got the sink installed. Then we had
Big,
to have a
because the
hand
bowl.
washing sink next to the sink
Because
because
you can't have dirty hands when you go in
exactly
there to start.
because
Right.
the dishes are dirty and your hands that are washing the dishes might be dirty, but you have to have a sink to do your
And you
hand
know all
washing.
this from the nursing and stuff, right?
Yeah, no, we had one sink. We just scrubbed in one sink. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have
Should we even talk about COVID on this
we ha-
episode,
we have
or
a-
we'll leave
no.
that out?
leave that-
And we're
let's
going
leave
to
it.
talk about the
Co-
vaccine. All right. We have a nurse on staff and a donut maker, and probably your bakery is now cleaner than most hospitals. Is that safe to say?
I try. It's kind of an ongoing process, but we try.
Very good. So we're at the sink.
So we're at the sink. We got the sinks. We got plenty of sinks in there. The oven was at a point where it was really kind of tired. And, Tom and Rick had said, if the oven goes, we're done. And so
I've heard when I came into town, that was a threat. How long are these guys going to go? The oven goes, it's over.
we're done. So I checked into replacing that oven. That oven current day would be about a $70,000 oven.
Wow.
Something ridiculous.
That's a lot of donuts and loaves of bread to get return ROI on that.
Yep. But the baking capacity of that oven was amazing because there were 6 shelves, which did you notice them in the bakery? We have the old shelves
No.
from the oven in the windows. Those are the tables.
No, I
The
didn't
shelves.
notice that.
Those are the
No.
shelves from the old oven.
But that's really cool.
Yeah, so we had somebody take apart the oven, and he said
Those were spinning like this, right? That's how Gina's family's restaurant is. You could
that's how the pizzas are made.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a big Ferris wheel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they could do 4 pans of bread, 4 loaves each pan. That's 16 times 6.
That's
a lot of-
Sorry, not doing math. It's
But that's
Friday.
a lot of bread. At one time, we can't bake to that capacity. But when my friend was taking apart the oven, he noticed the links on the chain that turn the were one more day may not have made it. So we are very grateful that it kind of hung in there until
Now, what
they were
type of oven do you have now? Isn't it spinning this way?
Yeah, so our oven now it spins like a carousel.
That's how
And
our favorite restaurant, besides Gina's Pizza Place, shout out to our friends Tomato Bar in Valpo. They have these ovens. They have the slate in them. What do you call it? The like limestone or whatever. And boy, can they cook a pizza fast and consistent. And they just
so they're
turn.
cooking on stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Ours are racks. So in our big oven we can roll in a rack, and one of them can hold up to 15 sheet pans, and the other one 23. So
And
we
it
can do-
heats up real quick. Natural gas now? We have natural gas
Natural
in
gas.
Mayville.
Yep.
High five.
Yep.
Mayville, we have natural gas.
Plumbed it.
That just came.
We're all fancy.
Yeah, I mean, we got both types of music, country and western. We got water, and we have now natural gas, which is a big deal, especially for the
Huge.
farmers and the businesses and the homeowners. So most homes here, we had a tank behind everything. Everyone had a tank, right? Propane, right. Now we're switching natural gas. And so your oven is natural gas?
It is.
But they couldn't have done that 2 years ago. It wasn't even a choice.
It wasn't an option, and it would have required them to take out that oven and bring in a new. I mean, it just
Natural gas heats different than propane. Propane heats real hot. So we have a natural gas grill at home, and it's easier to cook on than a propane grill. It's a little less.
I agree. I know that.
You're probably lying, everyone, but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Propane's weird.
Yep.
Like it's tough. It goes.
Yep. We had propane out at our in one of our homes in California, and we had an outside grill, and it was hot. Yeah.
Burning
Same thing.
stuff.
Burning.
Yeah. So you have a natural gas oven that you bought used. Expensive still.
Two ovens, actually. We
Okay.
have a big oven, and then we have a little tiny oven, which has a proofer on the bottom. So proofer is where we put our
So we did sinks.
dough.
We know we got sinks.
We got sinks.
We got a mixer,
Got a mixer.
couple of them. We're at 2 ovens.
2 ovens. Now we're to the proofer. The proofer does the magic. It takes that dough and it makes it nice and
Explain
it
that
helps to
because
rise.
I understand a little bit about a proofer. Is there moisture in there?
has to be moisture. Must have moisture.
You're getting the yeast to activate? To make yeast activate, you add a little sugar, you add a little vinegar. Like, how do you get yeast to be yeast, that reaction?
Sugar and heat.
Okay.
And moisture. Yep, you have to have the moisture. Otherwise, you get a skin on your buns
That's what
and
happens
your
to me.
bread, and you
Yeah.
don't want that. You want it to be nice and flexible. So we have proofers. They did
And this
have
is the art of
proofers.
baking, seriously.
It is the art
Right.
of baking, and this is where it got a little bit interesting because
Did
Tom
the
and
boys
Rick,
ever yell at you? What
they were guiding me.
like with the wooden
gu-
spoon, like a
guiding me.
scuffaloon, or like
Tom,
they call it guiding.
Tom would be like, "Why are you making it so hard for yourself? Don't do that." I'm like,
Why
"I
are
don't know."
Why are you making it so hard for yourself?
He goes, "Stop working so hard. You're making me dizzy."
They're gonna watch this.
Yeah. No, they were
both in
great.
trouble.
They were great.
Yeah, say something
great
nice about
mentors.
them. Yeah.
They were,
Why are you
and
working so hard?
huge kudos to what
Yeah.
they did in that bakery for all those years. Just the two of them. Well,
Mm-hmm.
they had a great team, but they amazing work. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
good stuff. But the proofers were different. They were trying to teach us
You bought a
from what they
proofer?
knew. I did.
What's the proofer look like? Like a rack with
Big
moisture
box
in it? Okay, yeah.
It's a huge box. It's probably about 8 feet tall, about 4 feet wide, 5 feet wide.
Takes 2 trays each.
4. We can put 4 racks that hold the, one. We have 3 racks that hold the 15 trays, and then one. holds
Does
23.
everything you bake need to be proofed? Now I'm going to ask you questions.
That's
and
a
I'm,
good question.
I'm not faking not knowing this stuff.
Anything with yeast predominantly needs to be proofed. We do proof some of our things in room temperature just for the texture of the dough. So we have a bread that we proof in our proofer, and then we do the same bread in room temperature, and your final product, the consistency will be a little bit different. It's a little the bread that's in room temperature is more of a dense consistency, dense texture.
I like that. So the bakery consists of sinks, mixers, ovens, proofers. Anything else we need to know about
We
here?
have a sheeter.
Oh, boy.
We have
I
a
thought
bun.
you swore for a second when you said sheeter. Sheeter. We're going to have to edit that out. What's a sheeter?
Sheeter. The sheeter, it originally was used to roll the bread loaves, but we use it to roll out our donuts. I'm sorry,
You don't have to apologize. You're the guest. You
our
may never
raised
be
donuts.
asked back here again, but you don't have to apologize. You do hear it, though, when you do it, though, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
No, don't
It's
worry
a
about
reminder.
it. This is this is just a work in art.
So the sheeter had been used for only the bun, or not the buns, the bread, rolling the bread loaves. But we use it for our rolling our hot dog buns and our hoagie buns, and we use it for our raised donuts, making nice long sheets, our caramel rolls, cinnamon rolls. So it's
That's
beautiful,
awesome.
Beautiful piece of
That's
work.
awesome.
Yeah.
This is rolling well. We're about, who knows how long we'll go. But I have to take a little commercial break, and we have to thank our sponsor. We have a sponsor,
Very good.
and our sponsor is Colorado Jack's Popcorn. Colorado Jack's Popcorn is out of Leeds, North Dakota. I have a bag for you, and you can actually keep this. Now, the people on the show the other day, you love popcorn, Colorado Jack's. Now, you can have this, but
Thank
the
you.
people who filmed yesterday, I pretend to give them the bag, and then I took it back because I said, I only got one bag. We got to keep going. We have other
Do I get to
gimmicks
keep
on
this one?
this for real. You get to keep it. And but don't be like crunching it during the show and making noises with
can't
it.
eat it.
Like you shake that in one hand and tap the desk in the other. We'll have a little band here, like a Jimmy Kimball, when they get the tambourines out and stuff. But we have something else to say. on this podcast, we have a gimmick, and we don't know who's watching, but we offer American flags. And today's flags were donated by Mr. Jared Haggart. I think it's a farmer just down the road. And so we have something called Flags for Farmers. And if a farmer hears this episode and they email us at flags, F-L-A-G-S, at agbull.com, we will send you a beautiful American flag. And I have one of those for you, too. And this, we could use this as like a drum, and that is a shaker. This is for you.
Got a whole one-man band over here.
You're doing well. You got a cup, an Ag Bull Media
this is gonna
cup.
Go flying pretty soon.
You got the popcorn, and you got the flag, and that's an American Legion flag. So flags for farmers, we're sending those out. Yeah, my wife's been sending them. We found out it's very expensive to send flags to Canada, but we do love our Canadian viewers and listeners, and we love having someone down there. So we took care of that business. We got Colorado Jacks as a sponsor, Flags for Farmers. And you know what's really neat is when Gina sends the flags, we send a little letter saying, hey, when you hang this flag, take a picture and text my cell phone. And like every other day, I'm getting texts from flags all over America. We've had people order flags from California, Illinois, Indiana, North Dakota. The Canadians like learning and listening to American podcast. They're just happy when they're not locked in their homes, you know. I mean,
locked in.
You sure we're not going to talk about COVID today or anything else? Well, I could tell you this.
I am not talking about that.
Okay, I can tell you this. My kids, when COVID was happening, we live in Indiana and Illinois was on like lockdown. The kids are like, "What's it like in North Dakota?" I'm like, a Monday's a Monday, a Tuesday's a Tuesday, and a Wednesday's a Wednesday. And there was a time at our house that we were actually going to come back up here because we have that apartment in Fargo. Mm-hmm. We were going to move to North Dakota during COVID, and it's it's not a laughing matter, but we all know there's not anyone listening to this who didn't lose someone to COVID, but there's also no one listening to this who hasn't lost anyone to cancer,
right,
or suicide or something. So we can go through the whole list. There's a lot of ways to check out of the hotel here, and that was one of them we experienced in our lifetime, right?
Yep.
So it was real. All right, back to the show. We are at the Sheeter.
The Sheeter, not to be confused. No, the Sheeter, and then we have a bread slicer. We have a bun roller. We have a...
It's not going to be PG-13 with all these... bun roller?
Roller.
We allowed to talk about this? My kids are going to hear this episode. A bun roller.
Bun roller, my favorite machine.
How's the bun roller work?
Well, it takes the dough, it divides it into 36 equal pieces, and then it rolls those pieces into a bun shape.
A bun, like a bun like you'd put a hamburger on?
Correct.
And then, the little ones.
Correct. So can you imagine? So
my hands are too big to roll little baby rolls.
And they order 48, between the two schools, it's 48 dozen. Can you imagine hand rolling 48 dozen little tiny? So this bun roller is my favorite.
It starts off little and then it raises, right? It's a very small, like it would look like a donut, like from Dunkin' Donuts, like what do you call those things?
Probably like the little mini donuts.
Yeah, that's the size, but then it goes through the proofer and then it bakes, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
How do you get those shiny on top? Is that egg white?
Well, that's different washes. You can use a...
We're not to that part yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Back up.
I did it to myself. We're not to the washes yet.
We're still on equipment.
Yeah. Sheeter, the bun roller is a real treat. We're not going to be giving those out.
We have a fryer.
Okay.
Don't forget the fryer because that does
what are we
all
frying?
the magic. Everything.
I thought it was everything. You mean those aren't air-baked donuts?
No air fryers.
All right.
Oh, yeah. We do fry in lard.
That's okay. We're going to get to that part. That's the next thing. We're through equipment.
Real deal.
This is the good stuff. This is the dirty stuff here. Lard, which is animal fat, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's kind. It's a deodorized, so it doesn't have,
I did
smell.
not know.
Yeah.
I did not know there was deodorant.
Yep.
How do you buy lard? It comes in
huge brick.
Yeah,
it's
like
about a foot.
White or cream color?
White.
Like
white.
It says lard on it, right?
Yep. Deodorized lard, and we buy it about 8 of the boxes a week.
That's what I was going to ask you. how often are you're baking 5 days a week, Monday through Friday?
Yep. And
Closed on Saturday, closed Sunday.
We go through about 150 pounds of flour a day.
Okay, let's talk about the flour. Big shout out to North Dakota Mill, 100-year anniversary Thursday.
Yep, absolutely.
Last Thursday, when people see this, would be a few weeks from now. But the North Dakota Mill has been supplying flour to Soholt Bakery probably the whole 100 years they've been open, correct?
There is a story that Grandpa Ed used to carry he'd walk to the mill, put the 2 flour sacks on his shoulders and walk back to the bakery. You know, everybody that tells the story has a little different twist to it, but I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did walk to the mill. The original bakery wasn't in that same place. It was down on the end of the street, so it was a little bit closer to the mill. But yeah, this has been going on for years and years and years. And then we also get our sugar is a crystal beet sugar product.
Both big North Dakota anchors here. We got North Dakota Mill, Crystal Sugar.
Yep.
We're going to have both those people on the show. Yep. Well, we're going to invite them. I don't know if they'll come, but once they hear that there's popcorn, mugs, and
flags,
and then you get disciplined for tapping the table.
Yeah. Keep your fingers down.
What's amazing, and I'm not sure how you do this, you only use one type of flour. Was there any, the pallet of flour I saw was one type. Is there another type?
No, we have hidden flour.
Oh, okay. But
no, it's the type of flour that we use is an unbleached, unbromated.
What's bromated mean?
Bromated.
I'm going to get schooled here.
Yeah, and I actually might get schooled here because but unbromated.
Hey, have them Google it. Google what bromated is.
Bromate will enhance it will alter the rising ability of your flour.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we add yeast, we want to have a little bit more control over that. So it has something to do with that.
Are we talking about high gluten wheat flour?
No, it's not.
Not like the pizza dough we use.
No.
Okay.
No.
Because the restaurant, it says on the bag, high gluten wheat flour, and that's how we make the dough and spin it without our fingers going through it. So you couldn't make pizza dough out of your flour. You can make it, but it might not be the best, right?
It'll be different.
It'd be different, right? So there's pizza dough is definitely high gluten wheat flour.
Yep.
Often used are wheat up here that's grown and milled. North Dakota Mill, a lot of the flour at pizza restaurants and bagel shops all over the country comes, but your flour is just.
And I can see where you would want a higher gluten because then it would help keep the
elasticity.
Elasticity of the dough. Yes.
Right.
Yes. I can see that.
Yeah. See, there we go.
That.
So we have flour, pretty much one brand.
We do have rye. I mean, we use different types of flour. We have rye flour, and we also have a whole wheat, whole grain. It's a really good.
Crystal sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Beet sugar.
Mm-hmm.
It's beet sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Beet harvest over.
Sugar.
But this is a special sugar. We have 500,000 acres of it up here, and we have a lot of friends and family and clients who are involved in crystal sugar, and it's very good to the North Dakota, Minnesota economies.
Mm-hmm.
The region would not look the same without our sugar industry.
So it's funny, you cannot get crystal sugar everywhere.
Everywhere be like in America?
Like in Arizona.
Okay. At our grocery stores?
In the grocery stores. But I understand now that it is packaged under different labels. So who knows? Maybe it is available down there. But yeah.
And yours comes in how these bags of flour? What 50-pound bags?
50.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sugar's what?
50.
Okay. To bake, we're gonna need some salt.
Mm-hmm. Salt. Morton.
There we go.
It's Morton.
Works in the street. If you slip on your ass out there, you throw some salt right out there. It's all the same stuff. Got it.
One bag does everything.
One bag does everything. Yeast. You're using the real active yeast.
Yep.
They look like.
We use cakes.
Yeah, they look like a pound of butter.
Yep. Exactly.
And you cut those cakes. It's a very distinct smell. Like just thinking about it is making me think about yeast, and it's a very. Not like pungent type of smell.
I love this smell.
I love the smell of yeast. Like in that movie.
It's bread.
Yeah.
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 Who doesn't like bread?
Well, keto people, but what happens is they lose all the weight and then they gain it back once they start eating all the good stuff.
But they
again.
like bread.
Right. You only
They
get one
just don't
spin on
eat
this
bread.
world, and I mean, I don't know. We'll take our
I'm not
chances
going
and
without bread.
yeah, we're not going to talk about COVID, but we are going to talk about bread. We're not going there. We're going to eat the bread. So to bake, we need flour, salt, yeast, sugar. Now we're going to talk about something that's going to catch.
Eggs in our
Oh boy.
buns. Yeah, that was
Eggs.
interesting. We had,
Oh boy.
we had an egg fiasco.
Oh, you mean the price of eggs?
Well, no, not only the price, the
availability of the
availability of eggs. We were unable to get eggs. So the Tom and Rick used to get their milk and eggs delivered.
You use a little milk when you bake, of
Yep.
course. Yeah,
Yep, only in our donuts.
like just a little bit,
Yep.
like literally like
quite a bit.
Okay, so you'll go through gallons of milk.
We can talk about that later.
Oh, we're not there yet. Okay, we're at eggs. Angelo, you see what's happening here? I'm getting schooled. I like this. I knew it was going to be best episode ever. I know I was going to get my ass kicked during it, but that's fine.
So our eggs, we couldn't find eggs, so we actually started collecting eggs from local hen growers.
Mm-hmm.
So we had women bringing in all kinds of eggs. I had a friend.
Like 6
he
months
has,
ago?
Yes.
Right, we had
yes.
all those
Yes.
layers die. And
Yes.
because people were tweeting it out, hey, I went to Walmart, there's
Yep.
no eggs. You
No
go to
eggs.
Walmart and there's
It was
no
scary.
eggs, you're going to create a little panic.
Yeah. And the eggs from our distributor just were incredibly expensive, and I did not want to alter my prices based on that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to do a knee-jerk reaction. So we got local
How many
eggs.
eggs do you
It was
go
kinda
through in a
cool.
week? You go through a gross, like a
So this morning,
baker's dozen, is that?
our donuts, we can talk about donuts now.
We're on the donuts.
We can talk. we can
Now
talk
we're
about the
getting
milk and
to it.
Donuts are cake donuts
Cake donuts.
that is a batter.
Mm-hmm.
And we made 60 dozen this morning.
60 dozen donuts?
Dozen. Just the cake donuts, the little tiny round, what we call coffee donuts. We made 60 dozen this morning. And
You got dressed and looked this good after all that. That's amazing.
thank you.
Yeah, I thought you were coming in. I told you were going to wear what was that shirt? Oh, it said, "This is how I roll."
This is how I roll.
Yeah. Pretty cool for 60. This is how I roll at the donut shop shirt.
The one I had on this today had has
Mixer.
a mixer in the middle with the heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you showed up. I'm like, what are you doing out of your outfit? Yeah.
But so this morning, this batter required 3 quarts of eggs. Quarts.
So you crack the eggs and you.
We buy eggs that are already pre-cracked. That was new for us.
So no
I just
shell,
said
no
we needed
going
to
and
be
getting the shells. Yeah.
Time is very important for us.
Can I
'cause
ask
we
a
were-
silly question?
Yeah.
How long would those stay fresh?
Oh, they've got a good shelf life. They've
Okay.
got a really good. We use them way before we have to.
It's not
worry
like
about
they're
them.
only good for a few days. Or
No.
anything. Okay.
No.
And they come in
They're
like what would look
pasteurized.
like a half gallon of orange juice?
Huge
Or-
bladder. Huge big bladder.
Oh, like a
Like a plastic
course
bag.
like a course party cake. Remember those things?
Yeah, it's 20 pounds per
Of
bladder.
eggs?
Eggs.
Oh, and then are there different qualities and grades, and are they just it's a thing of eggs?
That is way
The
farther
eggs.
than
Where do you buy something like this?
I get them from our
Distributor?
Don Foods.
Oh yeah,
Shout out to
everyone. We have Don Foods all over America.
and
yeah.
Bake Mart.
What about what's the big Cisco? Cisco Foods bring anything to you?
Nope, nothing
Okay,
for us.
in the restaurant business, that's real big.
Yeah.
You get your Don distributor, your Cisco, your this, your that. Okay, so we're on eggs.
So,
we went a
and then
lot of
milk.
eggs,
and then
a
milk.
lot of milk. What now? We got whole milk, 2%. What are we using here?
So we use skim
Am I
milk.
asking good questions?
Excellent questions. This
Well, we'll be here all week.
and it makes a difference too.
Yeah. Hey,
So-
you don't get a body like this eating skim milk, all right?
When you make a cake donut,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you don't have too much fat because then it'll make a different texture of a donut. So we actually use skim milk
Wow. All right.
and fry it in lard.
Well, now this
You
would be
know.
like our government checks and balances. So,
Right.
from a marketing standpoint, if I can give you some advice, you just start posting big signs in the window, healthy donuts made with skim milk. and you just leave the rest of it out. Yeah.
We
I love
tried.
it.
I thought using whole milk, that would be the way to go, because then you'd be rich,
Common
and
sense
creamy,
thing.
and
Yeah.
right.
That's like,
But they get too thick. The batter gets too thick, and then it's hard. It just, the consistency of the donut isn't right. So
you buy a mix. Is it a secret, the mix you buy? We don't want to give away
oh no,
the secrets.
no. This is all homemade. We
Oh, when you
dump
said
all
the
of these-
donut mix is a
Oh.
mix.
Yeah, the dough,
Dry ingredients.
right? The batter at the end of it all, when you're frying, it'll just be too thick to fry, so
Okay.
won't drop well. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to ask, your donut mix, everything that goes into a donut, do you make all that from scratch? Or
Yes.
is it like when I go buy a box of like Aunt Jemima or something, it's not that.
Ours is all from scratch. So we have the
Very good.
3 quarts of eggs. We have, I think it was 6 quarts of milk that I poured up for the donuts this morning. 6 quarts. So that's 1.5 gallons.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of milk.
For all you
That's
home
every
gamers
day.
up there keeping track, yeah.
And then of course in our batter we have flour, sugar, nutmeg, cream of tartar. Shouldn't be telling the secret.
You know what?
A little bit of salt.
I don't
a little
think-
bit,
I don't-
gotta have salt.
You
Have
could
salt.
you could give 100 people the same recipe. Like look at the chocolate chip cookies. The
Right.
what do you call them? Toll House, right?
Right.
I make Toll House. They come out one way. I personally like my Toll House the thinner version, and then
Crispy?
it's did you start with your butter? Did you get your butter to room temperature, or your butter's supposed to be cold? Or you can give 100 people a Toll House
Right.
recipe. 100 different cookies will show up.
It's true.
I don't know why. Why is that?
Yeah. Well, butter will make it crispy in itself versus using like a shortening or margarine or something like that. In our
You never use margarine. That's like a bad word, right?
actually, that's not true.
Okay.
I was very surprised when I started at the bakery.
Margarine's
They
like
do use
soybean
margarine.
oil or
The-
vegetable oil.
It is more stable,
Okay.
has a shelf stability that butter does not have. Butter will go rancid.
Okay.
So you have to be careful when you're in a bakery setting where, if you're not baking something every day like our cookies. So we do use shortening. We do use margarine.
And some things you bake. What are the things you're making every single day?
Buns, bread, rolls, donuts. I mean, we make
The
make
cookies,
most
you
of it.
can go-
Cookies will have a couple days.
Do you still have those bars? Those what do you call them?
The sometimes bars.
Are they like not Rice Krispie bars?
Sometimes
but
we have them. Oh, the Special K bars.
Special K.
Another thing that was really hard to find.
What?
Special K.
The K and the Special K.
Special K.
What's going on here? We lose some alphabets or some letters here?
I don't know. We could find Special K with berries and with all kinds of other, but we couldn't find big boxes of Special K, and it was pretty costly to get just a box at the grocery store. So
sometimes we have those. That's why they're called sometimes bars.
They call them sometimes bars. Sometimes we have them, sometimes we don't.
Oh, that's awesome. But the Steady Eddies are your bread, your rolls, your yeah. What's
Cake donuts.
cake donuts? Yeah. The how do you look at baked goods at big box stores? So say we go to a Walmart or somewhere. What would you say? Whatever Gina and I ate today, the apple. It was just what's it called? The apple.
Turnover.
It was unbelievable. I mean, that's not normal. We have nice bakeries, I guess, kind of where we live, but not like this. Everyone I've ever taken to Soholt Bakery, I'm like, hey, I got to take you somewhere. They eat like one, then two, then they're going to the I'm going to get sick level, but I can't stop eating. Why is that?
Probably because it's
The water, we didn't talk about that.
fresh. Oh,
We're going to get to that.
So
I'm just trying to
important, too.
plug
Yeah.
that
Okay.
in there, but it's very important. Should we skip to that?
Well, we can skip to that. So the water, when we had to put in our new equipment, it required us to put in softened water
Okay.
so that we didn't have any buildup in the machines. But I knew that water was such an important part of baking, and I didn't want to alter the recipes and the taste of the product. So we actually have one sink that has unsoftened water, and we use that for our dough.
So your dough, your water comes from the ground.
Or wherever the water comes from.
We don't ask questions.
Wherever
Right.
it comes from. Yeah.
Right.
But we haven't changed it, so
And
it's,
you have
it's
a
the
well.
same water.
Right. You have
Yeah.
we have city
We have
water here, right?
Yeah, and it's delicious.
But you're not using city water to bake. You're using your own well water. Or it's the city. It's
Well,
the
now
city
I'm being schooled because I don't know.
No, it's the city water unsoftened.
It is the water that comes through the faucet,
Yeah.
but,
But
doesn't
not
go through,
through
our
the
softener.
right?
Correct.
Because that will change it.
Yes.
And so
it
when I
will.
watch
It
YouTube
will.
videos about, I like, Gina knows this because I'll be going to sleep and she's like, watching about New York bagels again, huh? I'm like, I love bagels. I don't know. I love watching about baking and stuff. And I couldn't make this up. I'm not just saying this to make you feel comfortable. But they brag in New York and other cities about the water.
Mm-hmm.
No different than Coors advertised, made with Rocky Mountain water or something. But the water is very important to baking. And so in Chicago, a lot of our water comes from Lake Michigan. In other places, it comes from the ground or other. There's not a lot of the world that has fresh water like we do in the Midwest, and it has a certain taste. And it's a hard water, right?
It's very hard.
It has rust and minerals and those things
Gives it the flavor.
go into the flavor. Absolutely. Did we get all the ingredients, all the equipment? Did we hit everything? Is there anything we're missing?
Well, I'm sure there's all kinds of things.
You got to add love into this, right?
Lots of love, and don't forget our people, our folks. I mean, we could not do this without our crew. We have an amazing crew. We've got
So you show up at 3 a.m.
Tanner and I show up at 3 a.m. We
What
get
time
the
do you
doughs
go to bed?
going. Usually about 6 o'clock.
So right after this show.
Yeah. Well, tonight I get to stay up
It's Friday.
if I can.
If I can. Well,
Usually.
yeah. Sometimes Gina will ask me, what do you want to do tonight? I'm like, I would love to go out to dinner at around 6 or about 5 and then be in bed by 8. She's like, you have to be kidding me. I go, you asked me what I wanted to do tonight.
This
that
is
would
what
be
I want to do.
awesome.
I
Yeah.
want to sleep.
I want to go to bed. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're getting older. I'm like, she goes, that's why our parents always used to go to those restaurants at 4:30 in the afternoon.
It's not to get the good deals. It's to get home to bed.
It's to go to bed. Oh, dear Lord. So this is filmed in a live studio audience. There's you and I. We have the circus
And
crew over
Gina.
there with their phone ringing, and she stole all the good questions from me. She, yeah. So you, to operate one day yourself, did you say Tanner?
Tanner and I come in at 3. We set the doughs. He gets the
Yeah, let's
cake
go over that. What's
donuts.
the first thing you do? You walk in, wash your hands, obviously,
We check the orders to make sure that nothing has come in over.
because it fluctuates. So how
Yeah.
would someone place an order? Like if Gina and I wanted to,
You
what's an order? Like
you call
a
701-788-3261.
shameless plug. I love that. You are a natural. And I was nervous to ask you to be on the show. Now it's going to be your own show. And repeat that number one more time in case they weren't
sure.
listening.
701-788-3261.
And the address is,
40 Main Street East.
and they can get a hold of you by clicking on Facebook. You have a
Soholt Bakery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
So after this episode, you will see some more likes on there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
fabulous.
Because we're up to like at least 100 listeners now. We had to start somewhere. Did you get in, two of you?
Yeah. So we come in at 3. We check to make sure that we don't have any new orders that were phoned in overnight, which does happen. And we love it.
They'd be on an old school answering machine?
Yep.
For
old
real?
school-
You hit the button?
Old school answering
Welcome to
machine.
2022.
Yeah.
Beep.
We're gonna have to probably migrate to a new
that.
phone. I'm a little nervous because this
No.
is what we
Don't
all
do
know.
that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
But so we will check that, wash our hands, very good, and then we start setting dough.
But there's a pattern. You just don't walk in and say, let's do
Oh, no.
that.
No.
it's-
We've
There's
got-
a checklist?
Yep, we have a checklist. We actually have a cheat sheet that we made up. Tom and Rick showed us kind of their format, and so we use something similar. We've kind of modified it a little bit, but it gives us kind of a worksheet, so to speak, because we have to figure out from our orders how many cuts of each type of bun. I know this.
Cuts
I know.
of a
So
bun.
shall we talk about that?
Yeah, as long as we're not going to Yeah, as long as you can keep it PG-13.
Okay.
Cutting the buns.
Cutting the buns. So we take a big bowl of dough, and we have to divide that into certain pounds of dough, little balls of dough. And those balls create our buns, right? So for our large buns, we do 4.5 pounds each cut. And then that cut goes into our bun roller, and 36 little
they start big,
buns
and
will,
then they go in there, and then they come out littler.
Yep.
Okay.
So we have to
When do they get
know-
proofed in that? Or we're not there yet?
When we're all done.
Okay,
When we're
that's
all done
the
with the, but to get to that point, we have to figure out how much dough are we going to need to make all of these.
So you do a little
buns.
math?
Oh, lots of math. Lots
Yeah.
of math. Yeah.
You and I are trying to talk with our hands, and we
Yeah.
got these microphones here.
So, so every cut creates 3 dozen. So if we have an order for 12 dozen, we have to have 4 cuts of that particular.
You really
bun.
are getting in, looking at your
Oh,
orders,
yeah.
looking at
Oh,
your expectations, and
absolutely.
you have a calculator, and you are writing
I
down
am
like
absolutely.
we
We
have
are-
to produce this much raw product, and you
Yep.
probably produce a little extra,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Correct.
Because it'd be embarrassing to come up short.
Correct.
And every good
Which
Italian
we've
knows.
never done.
For real? You're kidding me, right? Or no? You have, right?
Just this week.
Oh, did you? What happened?
Tanner.
Tell us. Come on now.
Tanner, I have to sneak some of that dough. I forgot about this order.
Oh, you.
No, we do it not all the time, but
So the
occasionally.
client's like, boy, these buns are kind of small this week.
Well,
It's new math. This is like that math they teach the kids in school,
Well,
new math. You're
what's
like,
embarrassing?
No, this is new math. This is new bun math.
This is new bun math. It's simple math, but it's complicated in the same breath. I used to calculate drips for babies, like
Yeah.
dopamine drips.
Serious,
And that was
real deal.
serious.
You're a very
and now I'm
intelligent
trying
woman.
to figure out buns and how much bread, bun dough to make.
Uh-huh.
It's very complicated.
Right, right. Now, this is the Ag Will Podcast, and I don't think we have a single farmer out there who probably doesn't like donuts and rolls. And we try to keep everything agriculture, and just other things we talked about today. This is very agricultural. The flour from North Dakota Mill, the sugar from Crystal, but the math and science of whether it's an ICU nurse or making donuts or farming, like when they go spray, your brother goes and sprays, he might put 4 or 6 ounces or a gallon of a chemical with 600 gallons of water, and they're out there doing math too all the time. So the very people producing our food are doing math, and hey, shout out to all the kids trying to learn a little math out there. You're going to use it later in life, but not super. It's not like you're doing calculus to do a donut, but you're definitely crunching numbers. And then
you also have to look at your
temperatures,
your-
heat, right?
Yep, temperatures and the humidity in the air, the temperature
I
in
was
the
going to
air.
say something like that. So if you bake in Denver, the Mile High City is different than baking in Mayville, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Correct.
humidity, and
temperature, air temperature, that will definitely affect
What do you keep your temperature on in the kitchen? Like 68?
hot.
You want the
No,
ovens
it's
make
it's
it hot?
it's very
okay.
warm. But what we noticed, so when we started last winter, we didn't open after the remodel. We didn't open until March 7th, and so it was cold. And what we were used to doing at that time of the year was very different than what we ended up doing in June. So we almost used like ice water to set our roll doughs because it was, rising so quickly.
In the summer, you would add a little ice, and in the winter, you're like,
Just colder water.
sure.
Yeah. And so now we're back to a little bit
Like a
warmer
carburetor.
water.
It's you're throttling up, throttling down.
If you say so. I don't
know.
what
It's
a
like-
I don't know what a carburetor is.
Well, we don't have them anymore. We have fuel injectors and
Okay.
stuff, but something, it's no different than people who fly. They when you talk in flying and you get your pilot's license, they talk about running rich or lean and your fuel air mixture and stuff, and that matters. All those things matter. Tell us a few secrets. I'm so impressed with you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I also want a free dozen rolls after this, or whatever the heck you
got
got left from this week. And tell us what the pluses, the negatives. Just tell us, like, hey, this is what I didn't know was going to happen. Some great stories. I know the community is super excited that you did this.
I was blown away by the support of the community, honestly.
You didn't know some guy who came in from Valparaiso was going to promote the heck out of you on a podcast?
Didn't know that. Didn't
And you have a super fan out in the crowd out there, apparently.
We had I knew we would have return customers that had been faithful to the bakery for a while, but they continue.
Oldest customer?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, we'll be here all week.
I'm not sure who our oldest customer is, but we've got many in the probably in the 90s.
Why don't you post on Facebook next week?
Okay.
We just wanted to know who our oldest customer is, and if you come down and secretly write your name, first name, last name, and age, and put it in this box, we will give you a free dozen donuts. You will, be bringing in traffic.
Tom is going to buy you a free donut.
I'll buy them. I don't care. Like you got, and a flag. So here's what we'll do. Agbo Media is going to partner with Soholt Bakery.
Okay.
When we find out who the oldest customer is, they're going to get a dozen donuts and a flag. Now you're going to need the help of your younger Facebook clients to tell grandma, grandpa, and great grandpa that this is going on, because they're probably not. Maybe they are, though, but someone in their 90s. We may have someone in the community who's older than 100. But we need the younger people to tell their grandparents. And that Soholt has a raffle. They want to know who their oldest client is. We're getting some stuff done here today.
We'll do that.
Because when I met you a few days ago, you said you need a little help with marketing. And that is a perfect marketing gimmick. Because I'm asking who your oldest client is. You're like, I don't know. I'm like, we're going to find out this week. There we go. All right, it's the power of media and social media. So we're going to find out who your oldest customer is. We're going to give them a flag. Happy stories. The community rallied around you. Mm-hmm. You rallied around the community, first of all.
I think it was like it's like rescuing a puppy. I'm not sure.
We have one of those. Right? Yeah, right? We have a rescue.
But they rescued me. It was a good move for me. And
your son.
And it was also good, and my son, and it was good for the community. I truly believe that this community needs all the businesses to thrive. We need to keep Mayville, downtown Mayville, thrive.
Beautiful. Yeah. Downtown Mayville.
Beautiful downtown.
And you
Mayville.
also changed the footprint of the store. I don't know that people know that who are listening, because there's people listening from all over the country and world. But it was like a rectangle. It's now a double rectangle. Mm-hmm. You had your footprint, and there was a space next door. Mm-hmm. And that is where Gina sat, and we visited. We had coffee and rolls, and people came in. A couple older gentlemen came in, and they were buying up everything that was left. And it was fun. It's fun to watch because there wasn't a lot left. And let's talk about that. What happens when, what do we do at the end of the day when there's stuff left?
So traditionally, they've been packaged up into half dozen little plates, and we sell them the next day for half price. And it's funny. Some kids remember. So years ago, the bakery was open until 5 normal business hours, and kids would come after school and get their end of the day donuts, and so they'd sell them half price at the end of the day. But we just package them up and sell them the next day. Sometimes we don't have any, which I don't want that. I want that sweet spot. I want to have product. I want to have treats for everybody when they walk in the door. I don't want people to come in and go, "Oh, I'm late." You shouldn't be late. You should be able to buy whatever you want. But I also I want to make sure that we're not over producing.
But full disclaimer, they're not made with a bunch of goobly gop that will make them still be fresh 5 days from now.
We can't.
It's impossible. So your products will, how do we say it, perish or need a good microwave blast to freshen up if they're more than a couple days old?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've personally had our bread and our cinnamon rolls, those kinds of things, several days later. Throw them in the freezer. Mm-hmm. They're perfect. Take our cake donuts and throw them put them in a toaster, and voila.
There you go.
But the fried, Bismarcks and, those kinds of things.
Day or two.
One day. I know a lot of people enjoy them the next day. They'll throw them in the freezer again and take them out 2-3 days later, 2 weeks later, and they're, they're fine. But I don't think they're the best quality at that point. So.
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah, there we go. Fascinating world. Any negatives to all this? Your sleep patterns. Well, did you
Sleep.
used to work midnights as a nurse?
I have worked nights, but most recently I've been a nurse supervisor for about 20 years, 20 plus years. So I had kind of an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday job, which this is a little different, getting up so early. But I know there's going to be a balance down the road. We're looking at a different way to bake. We'd love to, just looking at expanding. We love to have 2 shifts. We'd love to have people come in the evening and bake, and then people in the morning, so that we can kind of have that distribution.
Fargo, I live in downtown Fargo, and there's some couple donut shops down there and stuff, but they could use more, a lot more, because Fargo, West Fargo, Moorhead is exploding. South Fargo. Do you ever go into Fargo? Are there bakeries you want to talk about in Fargo?
Well, I tried desperately to do a little bit of research on some bakeries. This was in November, I think, before we opened. I just wanted to get a flavor of what was going on in Fargo. And I did go to one. Can I say?
Yeah, say whatever you want.
Well, Sandy's Donuts, and they've got a great presence in this area. Fargo, Grand Forks. Oh, I don't think they're in, but anyway, Fargo for
Definitely
sure.
in Fargo,
right?
yeah.
Several different places, and they deliver to the different businesses. I had been to 3 different Sandy's that day, and none of them were open. All of them were sold out. It was a Saturday, and they were sold out. And I thought, I don't want to be like that. I want to make sure that we always have something, which, we've had sold out days.
It could have been a COVID thing, too, like short staff, this, that, because I live right by Sandy's.
Could have been.
I see that.
Yeah.
They line up there.
They do. They do. And everybody, they love them. I mean, people, they sell a lot of donuts.
But then there used to be signs on the door, like they weren't opening at 6, they were opening at 7. They weren't opening at 7, they were opening at 8. And then people had labor problems and everything. And
we all, we've been so lucky. Oh my gosh, we have been so lucky about our labor, our help. We've got great employees, and we've been very fortunate.
We like to. It's not like you're cheating. We like to. I watch Netflix specials on pizza. I watch. They say the #1 pizza place in America is in Phoenix, of all places. I'll have to tell you the name of it when I think of it. But people pizza owners take trips out to New York and go taste pizza. I mean, there's room for everyone, but the donut's not going away, and you have something so special.
Thank you.
What's the furthest you've seen someone come? Well, obviously people are here and then they travel and then they come back, right? So, do you have people coming down from Grand Forks in the morning for donuts or rolls?
Grand Forks, Fargo. We've had people come from up by the Canadian border, Devil's Lake. When we first opened up, there was a lot of, we got to come and see what it looks like. And, but, locally, we have many people returning from Northwood, Finley, Sharon, Hope, Page,
driving over in the morning,
Hillsborough, driving over. They'll always stop when they come in for their doctor's appointment or dental appointment, or And
just to reference, the old lobby didn't have this. Are you getting the coffee drinkers like the McDonald's crowd? Our group of men and women coming and visiting and.
Yep, we do have some, regulars, which we love our regulars.
I love it.
Yeah, so we've got some things that we want to do differently on that side of it. We're going to put in new, kind of a bar sort of table. Take out the chairs because we don't find that many people sit in the chairs, and I think we need more seating. So we're going to do that.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Well, as we start to wind down the show, and this went wonderfully well, and that's just, you never know how these things are going to go. I was on a few weeks ago, and I kind of ran out of questions and talking points. I'm like, ask me something. And, well, we don't need to do that today. Well, how would you like to leave people, or what would you like people to know? I mean, a lot of folks in Mayville community are going to see this video. It's going to get posted all over social media, and from a lot of people who love and respect you and love and respect the Soholt family. Well,
I guess first and foremost, big shout out to Tom and Rick for trusting us enough to let us, take on the business, because that was a huge deal. I did ask Rick. I said, what do you want to see? I asked both of them, and Rick responded really quickly. I said, best case scenario, what do you want to see? And he said, I just want to see it thrive. I just want to see it continue. So big shout out to them for letting us do this, and for the community for all their support. It has been tremendous, really overwhelming, and grateful. Going to get a little teary-eyed.
That's right.
But yeah, it's
shows that you're a real person.
It's been a great ride, and looking forward to continuing to bring new things and try new things. And we may not get it right the first time, and we might have to try several times, but we're gonna continue to bring good products to the people. And thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Well, let's end the show, but we're going to find out who the oldest client is.
We are.
And
we are.
I can help you promote this in many ways, and maybe you could help promote us a little bit. But there's a lot of great agricultural products that we talked about today.
Yes. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
This was really fun. I was very nervous, but it was fun.
Well, yeah. Gina said here earlier today, and she looked up. She's like, this is, I wish people could see what's on the other end of this. But I love agriculture. I love farmers.
Me
I love
too.
people like you. I love passion. You have that. I think ag has a story, and it takes more than 2 to 3 minutes to tell. Your story took an hour, and it was going to be a great hour. I think you're going to be shocked who listens to this, so we'll do it again.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
I'm Tommy Grisafi, and I'm bullish agriculture.